Video games, they're back. Post-apocalyptic video games are back. No longer do you have to keep playing Tokyo Jungle because Fallout 4 is back on consoles and PC. Peter Brown and Alexa Ray Correa. How you doing?
Hi.
Good.
Isn't it nice people to talk about Fallout now?
I know.
Yeah, but I still can't talk about like the plot stuff that I want to talk about because no one in the office has finished that yet.
True.
So that's eating me up. But yeah, it's good to actually like have something to say about the game in a public way. And people have a lot of opinions about my opinion.
Do they?
Some people do.
We'll keep
How
away
do
from
they?
spoilers for most of this. Well, for all of this, hopefully. 9 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. Hands up if you're loving Fallout 4. Yeah, a bunch of people in the audience as well putting their hands up. This game's great. I'm loving it. What is it that sort of grabbed you, Peter? What's your experience with the Fallout franchise, and what was it about 4 that you really loved?
Fallout 3 was my first game in the series. I kind of dabbled in like the original, but yeah, I put in probably I'd say about 30 hours of Fallout 3, which is almost nothing compared to people who are like hardcore fans of the series. And 4 gave me a lot of what I loved about 3. And that is obviously a lot of opportunity to explore, discover things, be surprised by characters, and to sort of shape a story that has a lasting impact.
Alexa, did you live in Boston for a couple of years?
I lived in Boston for 6 years.
6 years. Tell me about what you think of the world of Fallout 4.
It was sort of, I don't know if anyone who actually lives in Boston can chime in the comments here, but like walking through Boston and walking through like the Fenway is now like a shanty town, like it sort of hurt a little bit. It's like, oh, this was
really?
my home, and now it's like all crapped up. Like it was definitely very it was very poignant for me to sort of walk around and explore. I did a lot of exploring, but it was really cool to see their vision of like the post-apocalyptic wasteland in this like very like smart city, and the whole like the institute thing was also really cool. How they sort of took MIT, which is working on secret crap all the time, and then making it this like big thing.
It's interesting because it's a plot point in 3 as well, that and a little bit New Vegas. I guess the replicated man, a wonderful quest from Fallout 3. You can see some of that sort of appearing here. Interesting you say that, because when I played Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it made me feel nostalgic about London.
Aww.
It's like one of those things. What did you think about the world building in Fallout 4, Peter?
I thought it was really good overall. It started off very abrupt. You know, like we saw Deathclaw earlier. You know, 15 minutes into the game, you're fighting that thing. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I guess we're really like doing this, you know? So yeah, there wasn't this really abrupt start and this transition from your life as I put it in my review, I guess, a well-to-do guy from like a 1950s-esque era.
Or lady.
Or lady, correct. Into this wasteland where like, you know, anything goes and whatever you gotta do to survive is the way to be. But, you know, as it goes on, you begin to meet characters from the various factions that are keeping Boston afloat, as it were, as a society, although not very well. And navigating that, to me, gave me a great sense of the overall community within the game. And by the end of it, I was totally invested in the lives of everybody. I'm
totally with you on the initial couple of hours of this game are also, they're kind of jarring in a weird way. So much stuff is dumped on you, stuff that you sort of earn in the older games, like quite early on. And I was kind of weirded out by, in those past games, at least in 3 in New Vegas and the earlier ones, the 2 isometric ones as well, is that you start in an isolated place and eventually you find the big sort of populous area. Whereas in this, you actually spend most of the start of the game in the city. And then, like, you know, you can play whichever way you want. But it wasn't until my later hours where I started to go out and finding that wilderness where I was like, oh no, this map is actually really big and there's like stuff hidden all over the place, a la those old games as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that big dumping in the beginning kind of adds to the sense of what Fallout 4 is. Like, you're in Frozen, here's a wasteland, find your baby, go. And I think kicking you out of the gate with very little, here's how you do it, I think sort of adds to that experience.
It's very much like, it adds to that idea that this is an extension of what Fallout 3 and New Vegas were, where it's, I think, a much more accessible game for people who are familiar with those titles. And perhaps there are some hurdles that newcomers have to overcome, but you know, but then there's also the idea that it ramps up the action so fast that it kind of prepares you for the worst in those opening moments. So I feel 2 ways about that intro.
This is some footage, some gameplay I caught over the weekend of just the general shooting. One of the great things about this game is that you can play this game, not without VATS completely, but it's a fairly competent shooter in its own right, right?
It's simple and functional. you know, for me it was more of a reactionary thing. If there was someone barreling towards me, I would just put a couple rounds into them rather than jumping into VATS to plan out every single shot. So for me, it was more of a utility than like a means to enjoy the game. But yeah, it's better than it was in 3.
Let's talk about some of the new, I guess, features that have been added to the game. Some of which seem almost like loose ends. The base building, settlement stuff.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying using it because it's kind of a niche side activity to do. Like all that junk you feel like is going towards something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really seem to kind of do anything even when you set up trade routes, right?
Yeah, I mean, the trade routes are good if you really value repurposing the junk you find to create stuff. Because then you can store things in one part of Boston and access them in another. It's convenient. You can also fast travel if you want to get to the other stuff. So it's not like it's inventing some new ability at large. But yeah, like the settlement stuff didn't really draw me in. And I think it's because I've gone into Fallout to do the exploration, the discovery, and the combat. And to pull me away from that, I need something that's really rewarding or challenging. This to me was neither of those things. You could, there's like some small side quests where people are like, hey, we really need some beds and maybe a roof. It doesn't matter how you slap that together. They're just like, sweet, I'm gonna go take a nap. Thanks, here's 20 experience points.
If you put 6 beds out in the middle of like a yard, fine, go for it.
And if you look at a game like Fortnite, right? That is a game, I don't think it's out yet, right? I think maybe it's just in beta.
Yeah, it's in beta. You can use it on the...
Yeah, I mean, that is a game built around this idea, and an idea that was sort of taken from games like Minecraft in a way. But in Fortnite, you can take things in your environment, repurpose them, and then you put all that to the test. And then it really becomes focused around what you've built. And I guess maybe in light of that, this didn't feel that great, and in light of the other content, it wasn't compelling to me.
It's completely optional though, right? You don't actually need it for anything?
There's some stuff you have to do later using the same interface, but it's not in the vein of building a settlement. It's in the vein of constructing something to help someone accomplish a thing.
Cool, nice and vague, I like it. Let's talk about the main quest. How have you been enjoying that, Alexa?
So I'm almost done. I know Peter's almost done. I sort of wandered off and started doing a bunch of side stuff. I sort of really like the idea of you like running along in this wasteland looking for like your kid. I know a lot of people are like, oh, captured infant subplot, but it's so interesting. Like you don't know where you are in the timeline when you unfreeze. So in your head, like I'm thinking like, oh, like it's still a baby.
Yeah.
Or wait a minute, no, is it like an adult?
Yeah, who knows, right?
Yeah, what if it's actually 200? Like he was stolen at the outset and he's like dead and all his grandchildren are around. Like you've no idea.
And you kind of don't know, right? Yeah.
So you're looking for this person that you don't know what they look like, you don't know what they're called, and it's just like, I don't know. And I did it as a woman, so I liked this idea of like having this like deranged mother running around the wasteland, becoming this terror looking for her kid.
Yeah, I actually prefer the female voice acting quite a lot. What the hell is going on here?
What is this?
Is this?
I thought this was before the nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah, seriously.
Wow, that's. Oh, there you go.
Oh my.
Look at these. Ooh, that's some nice.
Here comes a mustache,
receding hairline. You gonna get a mustache in there?
Oh,
his
no.
eyes. Oh no. Oh, kill it with fire. Kill it with fire.
They're trying to make him look like Nigel Thornberry, because that's what he kind of looks like.
Totally.
There we go.
Nailed it. Yeah, I preferred the female voice actor, and it also kind of it felt a little bit more real, like mother running after child, rather than because I don't know the dude. I don't know, especially if he looks like this fucking disaster.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It doesn't come across as earnest for me anyway.
Yeah.
But, can I talk about the main quest a little bit?
Yes, go for the main quest.
I think that, so many people I talk to love the side stories, and I found a lot of them to be very interesting. But as the main quest went on, and especially in the final act of it, man, do things just come together in a way that you really didn't see coming.
Oh, really?
And it drags other people into the line of fire that you have befriended or helped in certain ways, and you're forced to make choices that it's like you're always like making a sacrifice. I'm trying to imagine that there is a way to play this where you don't have to sacrifice anything or anyone, but I can't see it, but I can see a lot of ways where what you sacrifice changes, and that to me was like, I was sitting there like, man, this decision I'm about to make, and then afterwards like, man, I really want to know what else would have happened. Like more than the side quest stuff, the main quest makes me want to play the game more and again.
Yeah.
From the start.
I'm not as far as either of you on the main quest stuff. I've mostly done side stuff, but I have to agree. I think this is I think it's the best main quest since the series went 3D. I know Fallout 3's main quest was kind of not really that great. You went to the same places a lot. It was kind of short. You can complete it pretty short. And New Vegas was interesting because it added all the different, organizations you could join and side with and whatnot. But it was still kind of a little bit benign at the end. So is there a lot of like siding with different specific organizations and all that sort of stuff? Yeah, and there's no... For some of them, it's like, okay, this is obviously a good person, this is a bad person or faction. But those lines become blurred the further you get into the story. And you're choosing sides, but you don't want to. Like, it's so tough. It's so tough. Like, right up until the final minute, you're just racking your brain. Like, what do I do? Like, what's more important to me? What do I value the most? And, the game, I don't think this is spoiling things too much, because we already know the Institute is involved. And people know the Institute is involved in creating cyborgs, essentially. And it sort of raises these questions, like similar to themes that come up in Blade Runner, which is probably more popular than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the source for a lot of these discussions. But you deal with sort of deciding, like, what is human? Like, at what point, when someone's looking at you and pleading for something, and you've traveled with them, but they're a robot, how do you ever decide, like, no, all of that doesn't matter? But you come to a point where you have to make a few of those decisions, and I was surprised. I did not see that plot line coming at all. Cool. In this game. All right, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Let's talk a little bit. We're going to get Jeff on, Gersman on from Giant Bomb in a sec to talk about sort of glitches and how they enter into the review process. I've had a bunch of glitchy shit happen. I've played maybe like 30 hours on different consoles and stuff, but nothing that, like, it's that weird thing where, like, I'm expecting this almost from a Bethesda game, either rightly or wrongly. How did the glitches and the sort of problems with frame rate or bugs and whatnot factor into your review? Played the vast majority of this game on PlayStation 4. I noticed the frame rate drop a few times. It was not a frequent thing, at least to the point where it was really noticeable to me. The glitches themselves, they exist and they're funny. They make me laugh. It breaks immersion in that sense. And it's not commendable. I'm not going to say good job Bethesda for shipping a buggy game. That's what we love. It characterizes some of their games that are like Fallout. But the important things that I was discussing before, and even the moment-to-moment action and storytelling exploration stuff, that trumped any glitch that I saw. Like, yeah, I'd laugh them off. It doesn't mean they don't exist, but they don't actually matter to me. So, the score the game got was not. It wasn't like it was a 10, and because there were glitches, it was a 9. It earned the 9. The glitches just happened to exist within that paradigm. Cool. Peter Brown, Alex Rakeria, thank you so much for coming on talking about Fallout 4. There is no shortage of Fallout 4 content on GameSpot.com right now. We've been playing it for obviously over a week so far, and I have a bunch of content up on the side. Content, God, I can't believe I said that word. Videos and shit for you to check out on GameSpot on YouTube. So go do that if you want more Fallout 4 goodness.